Work hard, play hard. It's a cliche most people say they do and really doesn't exist. We are talking about how you can do both today on Texas Whiskey with Jordan Zimmerman.
You have a satanic water in your hand.
I'm murdering my thirst.
Well, God bless Liquid Death.
Thanks for having me.
Jordan Zimmerman.
Yes.
Originally from Texas.
Originally from Mesquite, Texas.
But
yes.
What is your official role right now, professionally?
Well,
you have a lot of titles.
I have a lot of syllables in the title, that's for sure.
Right.
My title is Premium Whiskey Education Lead and Head of Advocacy. So if I distill that down, I run our brand ambassador programs and our trade advocacy activities in the USA and Canada.
Does that all fit on one business card?
Yeah.
Does it
like turn into NASA? It like scuba.
Yeah, it's a bifold. You just it's what it is.
So we just stole you from a room downstairs.
Yes.
And can we talk a little? Can we just jump into this pause program for
Sure.
a minute? So can you tell us a little bit of what that is?
Absolutely. So pause is Brown-Forman's alcohol responsibility campaign. So instead of leading with, we're talking about alcohol responsibility, what we decided to do was be a little more, I guess, heady and introspective around what being mindful around alcohol really feels like. And for us at Brown-Forman, it's really about taking a moment to physically pause and to think about what the best next step is for you. So for us, it's about choice. It's not about telling someone not to drink. Mm-hmm. It's not about telling someone, you gotta wait until 5 p.m., right? It's really about, some days are different, as we know.
As we are at a cocktail festival. So
exactly.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's really just about, making sure that people know that they have options and sort of expanding the idea of inclusivity in the industry, right? Everybody's gonna have a different feel and way they want their tales of the cocktail to go, and we're just really about cultivating that, even especially as a large beverage alcohol company.
Yeah. So real quick, just in case people don't know, give us the brands in the Brown-Forman world, because everybody's going to know all those names.
Just hit us with the highlights.
Hit us with the highlights.
Yeah,
just the greatest hits.
Jack Daniel's keeps the lights on. Let's say that. Jack Daniel's Woodford
I think I've
Reserve.
heard of that.
Yeah.
That little brand. Yeah.
Exactly. So Jack Daniel's, Woodford Reserve, Old Forester are our main sort of American whiskeys, and then we have some Scotch whiskeys and Irish whiskey, as well as Herradura tequila, El Jimador tequila, Chambord. So a number of brands, a lot of them.
This is my greatest hits too.
Yeah.
I think I partake in all of these.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the pause. You were talking about mindfulness, and I was joking on the way up here. So I was doing my research and realized I was like, this girl is really into fitness, and so I was like, this thing really work together. So as somebody with a health and fitness background myself, I get the joke all the time, and I tell people I really do work hard and play hard, and most people just say that and just play hard, but you obviously are an advocate for walking the walk. So can you talk about a little bit about where fitness lays in this for you and your physical health, and why that's so important to you in this world as well?
Sure. Yeah, I am my main activity when it comes to working out is I'm a marathon runner, so it's a lot of miles and a lot of days running a lot of miles. So I've actually run 11 training for my 12th and 13th in the fall and spring. So it is my thing. It's something that I actually got into just before I got into the alcohol industry, and for me, this long distance running is about taking time for me, because in this industry, I love people, but I recover by taking time for me. And funny enough, I think it relates a lot to pause, right? Taking that moment to step back, to breathe, and to decide kind of in my own space what that means for me. So with marathon running, when you're gonna wake up and you're gonna do that long training run, it's 18 miles in whatever weather is happening outside. I think you really do have to be able to prepare for that. So it really is, I know this word is overused, but it is about balance. And sometimes it's a friend's birthday, or a bar reopened, or especially during this time post-pandemic, and I want to have that great cocktail, and I can. And it's really about what you build around that experience of having a cocktail that makes that one cocktail, maybe two, really special before you wake up and take that run. And it's also okay just not to have a cocktail. But, I would say that I do both. And it's really about picking and choosing when that happens and what is right with my workout schedule. So it's definitely one of those very, very mindful practices, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So,
Was there a particular tipping point in the industry waking up to the fact that maybe we should help people focus on wellness? Like, was there something in particular, or was it just sort of? I mean, you've been coming to this thing God knows how long. I've been coming to this thing God knows how long. This didn't happen 7 years ago. This did not happen 6 years ago. Hell, it didn't happen 4 years ago. And now it's everywhere.
There weren't organized runs 7 years ago.
This wasn't half sponsored by non-alcoholic mixers.
Right.
This wasn't. There weren't like 4 different runs every single morning that you could hop into and yoga classes left and right.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't the alcohol industry. Like, what do you think? What do you think it was?
I think there's some short-term and some long-term patterns, right?
Yeah.
I think longer term, we have a true professionalization of the industry, right? So we have folks
Which is entirely unsustainable.
Which is wild.
if you approach it the way that we always have.
Exactly. And I tell people, to create longevity in the industry, this is how we approach it at Brown-Forman as a consumer-facing lens, right? To create longevity with our products, we want to create and cultivate great experiences with our products. If you have Jack Daniels at a frat party when you're 18 and you fall down a flight of stairs and say, I'm blaming Jack Daniels, I never want to have that again, that's not an experience we want you to have with our product. Right. And I think in this industry, what we're seeing, to extrapolate a bit, is the more and more we go hard and have the just play hard mentality, is when folks decide, it's time to tap out. And I think with our industry really being professionalized, and with us caring so much about what we do and wanting to stay in it, for us to be able to stay in it for the long haul means that we have to take a little bit more care about what we're doing. I think as our industry has become a true long-term career path,
right.
I think folks are realizing, in order to extend my time here, it might be important for me to think about what that balance looks like for me, right? And I would say that's kind of the long-term, the long-term shtick of it. And then also, as we create different conversations around cocktails and different conversations around spirits, we talk about flavor, we talk about cocktail chefs, right? Pairings. We're really getting into this broader concept of what cocktails and tasting and flavor can be. I think that people want new challenges, right? There's only so many ways you can make a Manhattan. It's a damn good cocktail, right? But at some point, I actually think it's really interesting to see what people can do with non-alcoholic cocktails. And see if they're any good, because I think it's difficult, because it's not as easy as putting whiskey in a glass, because that's a lot of the time going to be delicious.
Yeah, so I feel like kind of along those lines, the other thing that seems to be happening, we'll take Jack Daniels as a perfect example, is, y'all only had one SKU for a very long time.
Right.
Now you have a lot of SKUs, and they're fancy and they're special. And this is not Jack Daniels from 15 years ago. This is like the evolution. How, what drove that from the consumer end?
I think one, as the whiskey industry caught fire and people said, "Oh, whiskey is cool," right? I like to say that consumers are spirits promiscuous, specifically whiskey promiscuous. They're gonna play around, and I think that's what's fun about the industry. That's why you can come to a literal 8-day cocktail festival and find something different every 15 minutes. So we wanted to create a reason for people to come back to the brand, especially as the category continued to grow. And I also think, again, there's people with true brains and scholarship coming into the industry and saying, let me think about whiskey, let me write about whiskey, let me talk about whiskey, right? You guys do it, right? You're talking about these things. It gives people a reason to spend more time with our bottles, with our glass, with our brand, and to dig into the story. So I'm personally very excited. If you've never had, I hate the plug, well, I love the plug. If you've never had the single barrel Jack Daniel's rye, it is truly excellent, and something that I think a lot of people don't know exists, but is really special. So that's what I would say. Yeah, it's really about.
Is that your favorite?
Is that my favorite?
Jack Daniel's expression. I know they're like your children. You can't possibly pick one.
Yes, I can. I can.
At this moment right now, who's your favorite?
All parents have a favorite. They just say they don't. But no, that Jack Daniel's single barrel rye whiskey, I think, is truly excellent across the board. And if you've never been to Jack Daniel's, it's actually. We have tiny little containers where we actually pour single barrels and hand bottle there. So when people say Jack Daniel's is too big to be craft, I say, what day can you visit the distillery? Because I'll take you on a tour. And I generally tell people, sometimes it takes a lot of money to craft whiskey in the right way. And we are able to reinvest that money and craft whiskey in the right way and have literal single barrel jacketed vats for every single barrel we empty, right? And that's not something a lot of people can say. So it's pretty cool. So if you've never been, you should come. I'll take you on a tour.
The last time I went was before the pandemic, so I'm like, I need to get back there.
Perfect.
The one thing I really just want to touch on one more time, because we use the word mindfulness a lot, but I just thought of just my own experience in this whole idea of, okay, not everybody's running marathons every morning. Everybody's getting up and lifting weights at 5 a.m. or whatever our crazy schedules are. But the idea to be able to invest in your own mental health and physical health. And if you're like, okay, I want this idea of sustainability instead of, hey, I am a drinker or I'm not. I have to give it all up to be a healthy human being. And I love this idea that both, we're examples that that's not necessarily true. You can do both, but this idea of mindfulness is whatever's being poured into that glass. If I know I have a training in the morning, I know maybe I just want to take better care of my health, that I'm going to savor that pour, specifically here at a cocktail festival where it's an art form and there's so much that goes into it. I know I've been guilty of grabbing the thing that and I'm already thinking, what should I order next? And I'm like, I haven't even taken the time to enjoy whether it's something that's been aged for years and years and years and I'm enjoying that, or the cocktail that was just crafted in front of me. And so I love the fact that you brought that up. I feel mindfulness is this word that really gets thrown around. But I think it really is key on enjoying what you're doing, and then it doesn't become the bender. It doesn't become the bad experience because you're like, you know what? Those couple cocktails were life-changing, and I'm still showing up the next day, so I'm not having a like what I call a 0 day where you're like, nothing happened the next day because all those cocktails happened as well.
Exactly. I mean, look, we, with the professionalization of the industry comes a focus on the story, right? And some of us can say, I'm really done with the stories. I love the stories. That's why I got in the industry, right? And to be able to savor, to be able to think about maybe who touched it, who made it, what community it came from, I think is really powerful. And I think it's going to keep me coming back to spirits over and over and over because it's interesting, it's fun, it's every day is new. And if I can wake up that day and have the day to actually explore and be able to focus because I was able to maybe make a real solid choice about how I was drinking and what I was drinking the night before, I think it just makes everybody's experience richer.
And you have something to celebrate that day, right? Exactly. I kicked ass in this area of my life. You know what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to enjoy another cocktail and rinse and repeat tomorrow.
Cheers.
Awesome. Speaking of that, this will be a good segue. Jordan, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. This is my whiskey, Nico's Whiskey Grayson.
It is Grayson. It is a blended Texas bourbon. We work with Iron Root, Lone Elm, and Balcones. It's gonna kind of taste like a high proof wheater. It's 119.4, just FYI. So
All right.
It's no Coy Hill, but
All right. Thank you guys, then.
So we end every show with a toast and just saying, cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
cheers, y'all.
Thanks, Jordan.
When did you leave Texas?
When I was 18.
Gotcha. Did you go to school somewhere?
I did.
Cool.
She went to Yale.
I went to Yale.
Ah.
Yeah, so I got into Yale, and actually I had a full academic scholarship to USC, Southern Cal. And I applied early, had a roommate, and then I got into Yale.
Gotcha.
And my mom basically was like, well, you can't make this decision. So she paid for a hotel, paid for a flight, and we went, and I was on campus for like 20 seconds. I pretended it took 2 days because it was a very expensive plane ticket, but I was like, no, I gotta go here.
You knew. Nice.
Yeah, so that's I got into the food and beverage business by, well, it's a long story, internship in New Orleans, and then I cold called the only alumni who worked in food in the Yale alumni directory, and she was the vice president of Murray's Cheese in New York.
Okay.
And I became their education director.
Oh, wow.
Pairing and tasting classes.
Right on.
Yeah. And then Nicola Risk walked in with her 12-bottle rolling bag of booze, and I'd never met her in my life. And she was like, I would like to talk to the person who does or does cheese pairing classes, because we're going to do a whiskey and cheese class. And I was like, this one's out of her mind. And then we became friends.
That's awesome.
Then when she got promoted, she was like, you should apply for my job. Yeah. So it's weird.
That is cool.
And now Woodford, it's really full circle, Woodford's the sponsor for Dame Hall of Fame, and she's getting inducted this year.
Nice.
I'm so happy.
Nice. Dude, that's
so
awesome.
I get to give her award.
That's very
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Very cool.
Nice.
I do have one more question for you.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of Texas whiskey, just in general?
I think it's untapped. I think it's unexplored. I think it in a way that it could be. I think that there's, I haven't had a ton of Texas whiskey, to be honest. What I would say is I think the spirit of Texas makes whiskey in Texas really interesting.
It
right?
makes sense, right? Absolutely.
There's a lot of, like, the whole cowboy mentality of, bravado. I love if we could take Texas bravado and translate it into flavoring whiskey. I'd drink it every day because there's something really unapologetic about Texas and people from there. And as much as I've been gone, I claim it every day.
Yeah.
Someone brings it up, right? So I think being able to have that sort of strength, power, and something where people say, "Oh my gosh, that's from Texas." Yeah. I think that would kind of bring Texas whiskey into the forefront if we could kind of capture that in a glass. So I don't know.
Right on.
Yeah. So
cool.
That's awesome.